Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Titan Talk. I'm Isaiah, Kilgun with me as usual. And today, it's Open Beta 12 full update notes overview show.
A couple fun things that we haven't talked about yet that we can talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
And a few teasers about some things that are coming in the future as well. Just that we were hoping to get into this update, but aren't quite going to make it.
Cooking
so
just a little bit.
We'll probably be in the next major update.
But yeah, sweet. So I have Open Beta 12 update notes live on SMITE2.com right now. I will bring up the handy dandy desktop. And like I said, these are live right now on the website. If you all want to follow along and read with us, Manny is joining us for our update notes overview. As usual, you can't miss an update notes overview for SMITE 2, right? So
Manny's just part of the team at this point.
Sweet. So we will scroll through here and kind of read through. And as we hit stuff that we haven't talked about yet, we'll go a little bit deeper. But we've got Open Beta 12 live on Monday. And Ganesh, of course, is the highlight. He is the ported god joining the battleground, right?
Yep. And he is the Ganesh you know and love in his base form.
Yes.
with a few little plus ones. You know, I think the biggest things are if you do bestow a kill, you'll now get some extra gold on it, which is nice. And your one will mark enemy gods. And if you then use hard crowd control against them, it will pop that mark and deal bonus damage based on the opponent's level, I believe, actually. So it's a new type of scaling for us.
And then, of course, the ability 3, the remove obstacles. It will now destroy non-ultimate player-made walls. So if you're Kabrakan or Odin, you don't have to worry too much about it. But things like on her pillar, your mirror wall, Ganesh will now be able to destroy those whenever he uses his 3 through them.
Yeah, I think we only have those 3 non-ultimate.
Thor wall as well.
Yeah. So, and you can destroy those. And you just go through ally player-made walls, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
And of course, his ultimate, Downright Pillars, highest damaging ability in the game if you can manage to lock somebody down on one of those lines. But speaking of damage, Ganesh's Aspect is releasing June 20th, and he's going to be dealing a whole lot more damage, right, Kilgoon?
Yeah. Basically, you become zoomy cone of death guy. Your 2 now no longer silences. And instead, it provides you and your allies movement speed and deals damage in that cone in front of you while you're channeling it. Your mark on your 1 now is also procced by ability damage instead of CC, so you can proc it with your 2. And you also you're now sealing the kills. You're not bestowing them. And each god kill will give you bonus permanent cooldown rate. He is very fun. I have seen some fun clips from PTS. Some shenanigans. Clumsy was saying he might preemptively nerf him a little bit. I don't know if that happened, but I think there's just a little bit of scaling might have been taken off from what you saw in PTS earlier this week. But he is, even with a little bit of scaling taken off, I think he's going to be pretty strong. And you will have to wait a few days before you can play the Aspect. It won't come out until Friday.
Yeah. We have got a couple of new Wandering Market Travelers, 2 to be exact, in this update.
People really like the Travelers, so we decided we would do 2.
Yes, so the first one is the Freedom Traveler featuring Thorge Washington. Really awesome skin.
I want to call 2 things out.
Yes.
First, the Hammer's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
And secondly, the Mount Crushmore that you see in the background is part of the wall sculpt. So you'll actually, it's small because the wall's not huge, but if you look closely at the wall, you'll see there are some details of the Smite independent skins of past.
Yeah. So other things in the Traveler, you're going to unlock the classic Raw America skin immediately if you purchase that premium Traveler. There's also a Raw America Prism in the Traveler where he's chromed out. He's a Chrome Eagle, and the voice pack has a little bit of a different treatment than base Raw America.
My understanding is it's a little bit like a robotic kind of filter that was put on it because he looks like he's made out of metal, so it doesn't really. It's it was kind of weird to have the normal voice pack. So Kellen did a little bit extra on there.
Yes, there is also the Ultimate Eagle Ward skin in the Traveler, as well as the Freedom Badge in the Raw America Announcer Pack.
And the Freedom Badge, I believe, is inspired by the hammer and the eagle with sunglasses on.
That is hilarious. I didn't even notice the eagles wearing sunglasses.
It's pretty great.
That's great.
And I will say, just for anybody who is new to how we've been handling these, the classic skin will be available for Legacy Gems at the conclusion of this Traveler. So it's not locked behind this Traveler forever if you choose to wait. It's just, if you want to get it right now, the way to do it is to get the Traveler.
Yeah. The other Traveler we have is the Guan Unicorn Traveler. So it is a classic skin that you will unlock immediately if you purchase the Premium Traveler. And this classic skin has 4 prisms that you're going to be able to unlock, as well as the Moonstar badge in the Guandolf title.
Yeah, little nod to Dolph Lundgren, actually. So
nice.
No, it's. I would probably buy this just for the title, but I'm not good with money management, so kind of up to you. But no, it's really cool. The 4 different prisms all look really good.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to unlock, depending on how you think about it, like 5 skins from this Traveler, because you get the base plus the 4 prisms. So once again, Classic Guan Unicorn will be available in 6 or 8 weeks whenever this goes away. For legacy gems, so not locked behind the Traveler permanently. But if you want a deal on the prisms and to get the classic skin right now, and plus a badge and a title, good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Other skins and cosmetics in the update. We've got an all-new Smite 2 skin in the update.
Oh, dude, this card art's sick.
It's so sick. Venom Strike Medusa is available in the Venom Strike chest or direct purchase. Yeah, that card art is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm digging it. She also has prisms. She's got 3 in this update. And then a couple of other new prisms for the Bumblebee Jing Wei skin are also dropping in the update. You've got like the Blue Beetle and the Pink Rose.
Yeah, I think that's a typo. I think it's
Beetle. No, that's intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But
Beetle-y, yeah.
Yes, the Beetle-y. But yeah, I played the Pink Rose prism this morning in playtest. I did not do well, but it looks great.
Yeah.
So.
And then cosmetics. In the Venom Strike chest, there is a Toxic Snakes jump stamp and a Venomous title that you can get as well in that chest.
Yep, and the jump stamp's pretty cool. I used that in playtest this morning.
Nice, cool. We've got a new supporter store bundle, also Independence Day themed. Lots of cool stuff in this supporter store bundle. We've got 2 new teleporter effects. You've got the Freedom Flyer, which is like a bald eagle, and then you've got the Aerial Supremacy, which is like a classic American fighter jet. That's super cool.
It looks like an F-14 to me,
nice.
But vaguely inspired by it at least.
And then you've got the America Blue and America Red name, as well as the Independence animated name flare, which
Don't
is
thank me. Thank capitalism.
And then of course Kilgun's favorite quips in all of Smite 2 are in this from the American skin, making his way
to get patriotic as beep in here.
Screw the metric system. Yeah.
They're really fun.
Yeah, so they're really fun and available in the supporter store. And also note, we are working with our friends over at Nexus to add this supporter store bundle to the Nexus storefront. So if you're in the creator program or if you have a Nexus storefront, you will be able to let your community purchase this supporter store bundle via Nexus if they so choose.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
and obviously it would be for dollars instead of diamonds. But we heard from some of our creators that they wish that there were more things that we could let them sell directly through Nexus, and this was the thing that we figured we could make that happen. So if you want to benefit your favorite content creator and pick up the supporter store, check their Nexus store.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got a long list of quality of life and new player improvements. Kilgun, I know you spent a lot of time writing these patch notes, so I'll let you.
I didn't spend that much time writing them up, but I did write them up. So your graphical settings will now automatically adjust for new PC players based on their system performance. This is our first out of this, so if you notice that it's weird, please let us know, and we'll continue to update that. But it is, and if you have customized your settings already or have any settings, it shouldn't override them, I believe. But if you are installing on a new PC or do not previously have settings, it should optimize for your system a little bit better. Players will now auto bypass the login screen if the servers are active. So you'll just kind of see the Ganesh loading screen for a second or two while it's doing the stuff in the background, and then it'll automatically take you to the homepage. You don't have to click anymore. Your last played queue is now remembered in online settings. So if you last played Joust on PC and then go to play on Xbox, it should keep Joust as your selected queue, which is not a huge thing for a lot of players, but something that we noticed in our testing. We were like, it'd be relatively easy to get in there. We added a button to close the settings menu. There was no push escape to close or push close, so it's obvious how to close it now. We saw new players getting stuck on this menu and having to figure out that they need to push escape to close it. Wasn't great. There are several match lobby cleanups for better clarity. Activate boost is now only visible in Assault because that's the only place that we have a boost right now. Change role is only visible in Conquest. The role tabs are only visible in Conquest. Owned gods are always sorted to the top of the list. So if you don't have the god pack and you only own a handful of gods, they'll be easier to find at the top of the list. I believe it's alphabetical by owned gods and then alphabetical by unowned gods by default. And we added a button to close the filter tab, similar to the settings screen. We are disabling aspects until you reach account level 5. That's like a couple hours of playing the game. And aspects are generally more complicated or a more niche usage version of a God's Core kit. And so we want to make sure that players are more comfortable with the core of Smite, with more understandable kits before we introduce the idea of aspects. I want to reiterate once again, this is not like a per God mastery thing.
Correct.
This is just once you've played the game for about 2 hours or an hour and a half, depending on how quickly you're getting to level 5, then you can use aspects forever. It just, for the very beginning of your player journey, you won't be able to do that. Similarly, for the very beginning of your player journey, you're just going to automatically auto build, including a relic selection until you hit account level 5. So we found that just forcing new players to click through selecting an auto build or accidentally turning on a manual build and getting stuck, and then trying to figure out what a relic even was and what they should be buying when they don't understand anything about it. We're like, it's unnecessary at this point in your learning journey. So until you hit account level 5, you'll just be automatically on the base auto build for each god. We've also streamlined the relic selection screen to just have the short descriptions for relics to make it easier to quickly understand and decide what relic to purchase. So, you know, it just says like Aegis is like become immune for a brief period of time, instead of having a multi-paragraph description that includes the fact that you speed up after Aegis expires based on the amount of damage that you took. And like all of the extra little stuff that is not really going to be what, you know,
you as a new player that you need.
I will say the one thing that maybe we should think about putting in there is like Phantom Shell does allow you to pass through obstacles.
That's a good point.
So maybe we should add that. But like, other than that, a lot of the tertiary effects or the extra description just overcomplicated the decision. And some people in chat are saying, I still say account level 5 is too low. Yeah, maybe. But this is the first step. And if people are okay with this and we can go a little bit longer and we find that it's useful, we might experiment with that. Help text should now be more obvious. So over your character, there's been like text that appears that says like, go back to base and shop, or you're leaving base without a relic, or, you know, things like that. We have progressively tried to make this text more obvious. Like we've made it bigger, we've made it brighter, and now we have changed the color of the outline to be more of a red. And I think this is the missing piece. Like this plus the other stuff that we've done. So it being both bigger and brighter and now red. People who have previously they were like, is this a completely new feature in our internal playtests? Are like, oh, I see it now. Right.
Yeah.
So, and somebody even today was like, oh, I have to go back and buy a relic so this damn message goes away. And it's like, they're kind of mad at the message being there, but like, hey, they noticed it, right?
It's right in your face, right?
Whereas before you would have been in the middle of the lane killing minions and being like, oh, hey, I don't have a relic. Damn. So a lot more obvious. New players will default to a new action camera perspective. We believe that this is better for new players because a camera with a narrower FOV, which is closer to the god a little bit, and makes the targets in front of them bigger, will allow combat to be easier to read and easier to see what's going on in front of you as you're learning the game. This change should not affect current players who will likely prefer the current classic camera. And that allows you to see more happening off at the sides, but it gives you a little bit more of like a fisheye effect, and it also makes things in front of you smaller. So for new players, we think it's better to have things happening in front of you be bigger so you can see those and react to those and understand what's happening in the game. For really hardcore current players, people who use the current camera, you'll probably stick with the current version. Very important note, this is the first test of this camera, and further changes may occur. Based on the meeting I was just in, further changes will almost certainly occur. So, you know, this is a test. We may try making the FOV bigger. We may try moving the camera a little bit. We may try, but we like the idea of this action camera, and we've already gotten really good feedback from people that were not big Smite players previously in our testing. We think that there's more room for improvement, though. So don't expect that this is the absolute final action camera that's never going to change. Lastly, if you want to change your camera setting, this is how you do it. Go to settings, gameplay, and then action cameras at the bottom of the list. And you can turn it on or off. Easy.
Easy peasy.
Oh, and lastly, we added good for new players tags to the free rotation gods. So it was very confusing for new players because there were these gods that they could play for free, but they weren't good for new players. So now it's obvious that like those are good for new players. And then there are other gods that you can unlock that are also good for new players.
Correct. All right, next up, under general, we've made some changes to Wandering Market coins. They can now be purchased starting in OB12 with 100% legacy gems, and the price has been reduced. So right now in live, it is 650 diamonds or 325 legacy gems, 325 diamonds for a pack of 500 coins. Starting in OB12, it's going to be 300 diamonds or 300 legacy gems for 500 coins.
Yeah, much more affordable. Again, we don't expect a lot of people to buy these. Like, we give you Wandering Market coins pretty quickly just for playing. But if you do choose to buy them, I think we got the feedback that it just wasn't a good deal at the previous pricing. And I largely agree with that. And also that this is the kind of thing that it makes sense that you should be able to use pure legacy gems on if you wanted to. So we made that change. There's one other store level change, which is not in patch notes, that I'm going to talk about right now. The big chests, so like the classic skin chest, the classic cutesy avatar chest, the classic announcer pack chest,
music packs,
there is now a what was even the word? Not like a slider, but like a incrementing counter, I guess is the best way to say it. And you can roll multiple chests at the same time.
Nice.
So if you want to roll 50 chests, you just click up until the number is 50, and the cost will rise accordingly. And you click roll, and you'll just get 50 things from the chest. So should be an improvement. We do not have this on for the smaller chests right now, because if we do this, it overrides the opening animation, even if you only open one at a time. And we think for chests that are a little bit smaller, it's probably better to have the opening animation. So for those smaller chests, you will still have to roll one at a time. But for the bigger chests, you can toggle it up and do it.
Yeah, that's a big quality of life change that we've gotten a couple times on the show. So glad that's getting in for OB12.
Yep.
Under gameplay, Scylla is getting an aspect in this update, releasing on June 23rd. So that is the Monday after OB12. So not this upcoming Monday, but the Monday after. And it's pretty spicy. So
yeah,
it's
a little hard to understand. But basically, your mana bar isn't really a mana bar anymore. It's the best way to think about it in my head. Instead, it's kind of like your rage meter, or your ultimate meter. And you have to fill your mana bar to cast your ultimate. And you fill your mana bar by damaging things with your abilities. So if you cast your 2 on a wave, you're going to get a little bit of that bar filled up. And when it's full, then you'll be able to ult. And your ult now will always fire 3 times instead of just getting resets on kills. And the damage will scale based on your max mana. As we got a typo here. Monster sacks. I'm a monster sacks now. Immediately provide max mana, not mass mana. And at max rank, you will gain bonus mana. So it's somebody says it's basically like Bari's bar. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it.
It's kind of, if you think about it, like a fighting game, right?
Yeah.
Like your mana bar is now your super bar, and you fill it up by hitting abilities, and then once it's full, you can cast your super or your ultimate, and you get 3 refires no matter what with I'm a Monster, which is really impactful. It's cool. Next up under gameplay, a couple of gods have had their ability targeters upgraded visually. Thor and Odin, the VFX team, just has done a pass. We've been doing these kind of 1 or 2 per update, just going and doing a pass on the targeters just for making them look a little bit better.
Yeah, there were some problems with the old ones, and they didn't interact well with some of like DLSS and so these both are functionally better and they look better. So we've been working through the list. I think we're most of the way through at this point, but Thor and Odin are the next 2.
Yeah, sweet. Moving on to game modes. Conquest, we've got some XP changes here. We talked through the jungle XP changes. There are a couple of other things that we didn't talk about during our show on Wednesday that I do want to go through. So for the jungle XP changes, we've reduced the base XP on the Elder Harpies, the Small Harpies, and the Roaming Harpies in the jungle. But for lane XP, we've made a change. We've increased base XP on melee and brute minions and increased base XP on ranged minions as well. There is a fix below, which is kind of in conjunction with this. So there's been an issue. I'm not sure if you all have been playing Conquest and noticed at the very beginning of the game, like, I feel like I should have hit level 2 there, and I didn't hit level 2. So there was an issue to where the way that the bonus XP for the lowest level player was getting split up was not working correctly. So you could get into cases to where, as your team is at the very beginning of the match, clearing stuff, if you get into a spot to where you're not the lowest XP anymore, you could sometimes not hit level 2 where you should have been hitting level 2. So that's been fixed, and that mechanic is now going to trigger starting at 2 minutes into the game.
Yep. So it should remove the kind of like randomness of why did this not work for me, and the top part should fix junglers scaling too hard off of XP. So. Should be good improvements overall. And the Joust one's also good.
Yeah, a couple good Joust ones here. So Joust, we've increased the kill assist range just to match Smite 1 parity. And then we've also increased fire minion damage versus other minions. We got some reports that fire minions were just like losing to regular minions, which is not good.
Yeah.
And
the kill assist range thing, basically, like, the way that this map works, very frequently you'll have like a mage who is like doing most of the lane clear while other people are pretty far away from the wave, and they'll just like not get experience a lot of the time right now. So this should fix that and should make it behave like Smite 1 does, where you actually get the experience when you would expect to, and there's less disparity between the person who's clearing the wave and the rest of the team. And then this next one has been requested repeatedly by ambassadors and other assault mains. Yogi's necklace has been disabled from assault. Yogi's necklace is an item that lets you regen % hit point every tick. This is fine in a normal game. In assault, this is insanely overpowered. And there were similar items in Smite 1 assault, but this effect I think is just a little bit stronger than the Smite 1 equivalents, and it just became almost every god, like even like a hunter, would build this first. So we're disabling it specifically for the assault mode. It may come back in the future, but we got a lot of feedback that it was worth disabling. Excuse me, and seeing how it goes. So we're gonna disable it, and please let us know how you feel about it.
Absolutely. All right, I believe that is it for game modes. Let's move on to God balance. So we talked through the hotfix that was in the OB11 update that released on June 6th. As we're starting to do now, we're just including these notes here just for anybody that maybe missed those notes on Steam or on social media or Discord and stuff like that. But for things happening in the OB12 update, pretty much business as usual with everything that we covered on the Wednesday show, with one addition. Baron Zombie is going to be seeing a buff here. Consigned Spirits, we're going to be increasing the damage. And then Aspect of Hysteria, also increasing the damage scaling per Hysteria. Just saw some feedback after Baron's Aspect release that he still wasn't given that oomph, with that damage. So just a little bit of love here.
Yeah, and especially if you notice, the 2 buff is particularly to the early levels of the 2, right? So if you're leveling the 1, this is a more impactful thing early on, where it's like you're going to benefit from having extra damage on your 2.
Moving right along, all the rest of the buffs are the same that we covered in our Wednesday show. But as I move into nerfs, there are a couple of other changes here that we didn't cover that have been added since we last talked. So Kali going to be seeing a nerf here. General, we're going to be decreasing her basic attack power, and the Nimble Strike decreasing the base damage. Just based off of, she was kind of the last jungler that was performing really well. And we just wanted to do a small nerf in conjunction with all the strength items getting buffed. Was kind of the reasoning there. And then the Morrigan, Changeling.
Sorry, I'm back. It's just like kind of to reiterate too, like this should impact her early game more with the basic attack power change, because she was just a really good early game fighter. And like, we're okay if characters are really good at different phases of the game, but like if you're good at every phase of the game, then sometimes we'll take a look at like is there something we should be doing to act that in particular?
Yeah. And then our last added nerf since we last talked on Wednesday, the Morgan going to be seeing a change here to her ultimate changeling. We've introduced missing Smite 1 functionality. This ability's cooldown will be increased to match the...
Chat says stream sound.
Twitch has been having some issues. Let's see here. Oh no.
I got an F from Pawn, and he's in the same office.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Twitch has been having some issues. Hindu did warn me that we may see something.
Dude, look at Kyle says go to Mixer.
Yeah, no.
If only.
Let's see. We'll give it a second. Twitch is melting. Hold tight. Wait a second. Somebody in chat said I'm cool, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. At least somebody's cool.
We're back.
We're back?
Refresh, maybe?
It's back. We back?
We're back.
Twitch?
All right, cool.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah, Twitch has been having some issues off and on today. Hindu did warn me that we might have some issues, but apparently Twitch is just kind of struggling on the struggle bus today. But if we are back, we'll get into the Morgan change here and talk through it. So Changeling the Ultimate, we're introducing some missing Smite 1 functionality. This ability's cooldown will be increased to match the target god's ultimate ability cooldown. So this is a nerf, but it is a Smite 1 parity change, correct?
Sorry, somebody just said, I can't believe they revealed Smite Cart 2 while the stream was down.
That's hilarious.
It is. This is a Smite 1 parity change, and it should... The Morgan will still be a very good character in the hands of skilled players.
Yeah.
But hopefully this takes the edge off of some of the more degenerate getting to ult every 5 seconds kind of feel that she had. So, hopefully it's an improvement for everybody.
Cool. All right. Moving on to item balance. And I believe all of the item balance is the exact same from what we covered on Wednesday.
Yep.
So we had the Bloodbound book nerf in the hotfix that released last week in OB11. But for OB12, we're just doing a big pass on strength items. They're going to be seeing about a 10% buff across the board here with a couple of additional changes for some extra items there. And then we're doing a pass on shield-based items as well. Phantom Shell, as well as Selflessness and Heroism, going to be seeing nerfs.
The evil is defeated.
Yeah. Mystical Mail and Erosion are going to be seeing some buffs as they are kind of your anti-shield options. General changes, Cersei's Hexstone seeing a nerf. I know we've gotten a lot of community discussion about that item, as well as Eye of the Storm, also seeing a nerf to the Vortex Strength, as well as the self-damage that it does. And then Spectral Armor is getting its passive change to be a little bit better at combating crit.
Yep. And that should help with the people who think crit is super hard.
Sweet. That is it for item balance. A few bug fixes before we wrap up our Open Beta 12 update notes overview. Quality of life. We fixed an issue where the Arena Portal VFX material was flickering. For gods, I missed a space here. Fixed an issue where Baron Samdi's Nanomancer skin targeters were flickering. And then under items, we fixed a description issue where Cersei's Hexstone was listed as having movement speed when it did not provide movement speed. And then lastly, we fixed a description issue where Stone of Binding was listed as reducing 10 protections per stack instead of 5. And that is it for our Open Beta 12 update notes overview. Again, these notes are live now on SMITE2.com, so if you're just now joining us or if you want to go back and read through everything at your own leisure, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yep. And I had promised an update on something else.
Yes, let's get to it.
So there is a very common community request that we add more bans to ranked. We generally agree that we're at the point where we could safely add extra bans to ranked. Yeah. We were working to get an extra ban for rank to each side into this update, but we aren't quite going to be able to get it in for this update. So it will be coming in the next update. Yeah. There'll be 3 bans per side in ranked. We also, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we aren't adding needless time to the startup phase of a match. So we're going to be changing the timing a little bit on these, is the current plan at least, where each side will still have 30 seconds to make the first ban, but then the next 2 bans will be 15 seconds each. Yeah. So the total time should be the same as the current ban phase. And you'll have to go a little bit quicker for your next 2 bans, but it's the same person that's doing all the banning on each side. So our feeling was once you're aware of I am the banner and you've made your first ban, you should be watching and you should be ready to make your next 2 bans relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And if you skip a ban, you can skip a ban.
Yeah.
So there are people who are immediately in chat saying we need to go back to the system where everybody has 1 ban.
We would love that.
Great.
Yeah.
That is more work and a problem for future us.
Yeah.
So in order to get another ban into the game sooner, this was the best solution. And it's the everybody banning idea is still on our list for, again, in the future. But right now we're focused, most of our new dev time is focused on things that can affect the new player experience. And new players aren't playing ranked too much. So we wanted to address this issue for you as quickly as we could. And if we had waited to be able to do the everybody simultaneous banning, that's going to be
Would have been
a while.
Way farther out. Yeah. So, open beta 13, 1 additional ban per side. I believe that gets us up to 6 bans total for ranked in open beta 13. So, really cool. Sweet. Well, Kilgun, was there anything else on your list that you wanted to chat through before we get to Q&A?
I think that's pretty much everything. There might be some more things that didn't quite make the update notes. As always, we work really quickly here, and patch notes is not a very formal process for us. So if somebody forgot to add something to patch notes, it might not be on there. But this update I think has been a pretty solid update. We got a lot of good stuff into it. I think,
sure.
We'll see how some of the stuff that's on the map for the next update comes together. But I think that there might, if everything comes together the way it should, there should be quite a bit of quality of life stuff in the next update as well. And we're just going to kind of keep rolling from there. Hopefully you guys can feel the game getting better every week, and we're just gonna keep working.
Absolutely. Well, we're about halfway through the show, so hopefully Twitch doesn't die on us again.
Yeah.
We'll get into some community Q&A before we close out the week and get ready for Open Beta 12 on Monday.
Yep. Show us the new Q screen, please. Nope, not right now. That will hopefully be in OB13 as part of a lot of things that are happening in OB13. But fingers crossed, we'll be able to show it to you.
Everything that I've heard is that it's coming along really well, though, which is good.
Yep. Action camera is great. My take is offset ranged gods and center melee gods. That's an interesting idea. I think Pawn's watching.
Yeah.
And maybe Pawn will take that feedback and see how it feels. Our creator's Nexus store is approved by you all. I've never used it because I was scared it was a third-party thing. So Nexus is a third-party, but we partner with them to be able to make the creator stores happen. So you can feel confident buying from a creator store. Basically what happens is if you buy from them, you'll get a code that you can redeem in-game. And once you redeem in-game, you'll get the content. Yeah. And if something doesn't work, Nexus will sort it, right? But we haven't actually had any issues.
Yeah, the folks at Nexus are really amazing. They've got their own central customer support team if there are any issues. But yeah, like Kilgun said, if you purchase through there, you get a code sent to your email that you redeem in game. And then the creator storefront that you use to purchase, they get a share of the revenue, which is really awesome. So
it's basically, kind of instead of the platform getting the share, the creator gets the share in this model. We do, I believe, only allow US dollar purchasing on the Nexus store to prevent, because you just get the codes. If we allowed different currency purchasing, it would be very abusable to where somebody could buy things with a cheap currency and then sell the codes very easily because we are selling codes. So there is that one drawback. If you do not want to purchase in US dollars, it's not perfect for you. Yeah. But other than that, it's a really good situation. Definitely, it's good to support creators. We love our creators, and hopefully they make a little bit of money out of this project. Can we go in game and show some skins or the Ganesha finished frame? I don't even know if we're updated, but
yeah, let me see if I can update. And I don't mind pulling up the game and showing some cool stuff off.
Should we expect to talk about the next 2 gods on Wednesday or Friday? I would guess Wednesday.
Yeah, probably next Wednesday. Yeah.
I'll confirm on Monday, but probably next Wednesday.
I'm going to boot up PTS here.
We have more teleporter effects coming, but we only get to play with them for half the game. Can we see teleporter effects added to the side teleporters or teleporting towards?
Maybe.
I don't know. I think that like the side teleports, the way they work right now is that like once you channel, you're there kind of instantaneously. So we would kind of have to add like a flying above the world transition kind of thing, which may or may not be good for the game. And we don't actually have any plans for teleporting towards anytime soon, because that's actually, it seems like it would be easy, but it's a relatively annoying / difficult UI element that we would have to make, specifically for console, being able to select which board they want to teleport to. And we also, I think we just feel like the game doesn't really need it right now with the ability to, like, with the amount of teleporters we have in the game already, adding more teleporting maybe isn't the right move. Yeah. So.
All right. I have the Ganesha Ascension Pass frame here. It is called Peaceful Symmetry, and it looks really slick.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I hadn't seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah, team's been killing it with the card effects.
I would rock that.
This is great.
Yeah.
And let's see here. I'm going to bring us back to cams, and I'll see if I can pull up a skin here if you want to find maybe 1 or 2 questions while I get everything set up.
Yeah. Will we ever get another African god ever again? Ever is a very long time. I would assume at some point we will do more African gods. I know there are African gods that are on our list of, kind of the short list has had several different African gods for a while. Next god or two, not going to be African gods. I think I can safely say, because we're in progress on a couple other things, but we're definitely not opposed to going back to, the Yoruban pantheon, or maybe even touching on a different African pantheon. So I think there's definitely room for that, but yeah, just not. I guess I could talk a little bit about like how we pick gods. Like, generally speaking, we want somebody who looks cool, and by cool I mean offers a different, like, instant visual hook than anybody else we currently have in the game. Yeah. We want somebody that we have an interesting, unique gameplay idea for. That's usually tied to something they do in their lore, but sometimes we can kind of shoehorn it in, if we just have a cool idea. We ideally like characters that have a little bit of name recognition, or somebody that you've, not like the most obscure niche minor character from a pantheon. It doesn't necessarily mean that we won't, like, Ratatoskr is not like the main character of the Norse pantheon, but he's an interesting character who's well known and appears a lot of times. Like, as an example, this is not me saying I do it, but like Agamo, I think we would consider doing for for the Yoruban pantheon, because he's someone that's come up a lot in discussion. People are familiar with who he is, even though he's not like the main character of the pantheon.
We love Agamo, by the way.
So I think there's a lot of like interesting characters you can touch on within that set of restrictions. But like, if somebody is like obscure and doesn't have a unique visual hook, and we can't think of a unique gameplay hook for them, then they're not going to come to the game, right? That's kind of the absolute worst case scenario for a potential god.
Sweet. Well, I've got Thorge Washington up here, and we can check him out in game here. Even on the basic attack hits.
Yeah, they sound good.
It's great.
And you get the little flags. Yeah. Yeah, you see, isn't that great, that wall?
That's sick.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, and then the ult has some, I believe, some fireworks when you land. Let's see. Now that was a good combo.
There you go.
Isaiah looking like
now that I've got a keyboard,
Yeah. Yep. So I think it's a fun skin.
Yeah. Thorge Washington, sick.
Show Raw America Chrome. Yeah, we could show that one.
Yeah.
And the voice packs associated. Let's see. I had one and then I lost it. Why not make more 4 prism bundles like Athena? Buying each prism for 600 diamonds feels like I'm getting scammed. With the bundle, it feels like I'm getting better value. We ran this test in the last update of, do people like the prisms or do they like the travelers as a better way to get a bunch of prisms at a good value. Because we generally agree that like buying them individually doesn't feel great. What we've found is that overwhelmingly people prefer the traveler approach. Yeah. So we're going to be releasing a lot of like multiple prism travelers going forward, assuming people continue to enjoy them, because it feels like it's like a really affordable way for you to get a bunch of prisms and some extra stuff too. And people like that much better than the bundles. So we're probably going to go more in that way. We may eventually do a bundle again in the future, but that's our focus is really on the traveler bundles right now.
The travelers. All right, we've got Raw America Chrome, Chrome Eagle. So yeah, you can even hear it.
Like a little firework. Maybe VGS a little bit. Let's.
You're all right. I hold my awesomeness to be self-evident.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Cool. Gives you an idea of that.
Yeah.
Alan Diamond asks, is this the UE 5.5 update, or did you say that before? Or did you say before that you think it's for OB14 plus? We're still working on it. We're very close. Mm-hmm. I think we might test it after OB12 goes out. So maybe just like run a flash test for it and see if we run into any major issues. It might be OB13 that it actually like goes out. It might be OB14, but we're pretty close. It's, again, for some people, it will make a big improvement. For other people, you won't notice it at all. The number one thing is it's not a negative for anybody. And then once we have it in, we'll be able to do kind of continued improvements that should make the game better for everybody.
Yeah. Somebody in chat is asking if the Rucksack Duck is getting his proper name in the patch. I'm in PTS, and I can confirm he is now Sir Honkalot.
Awesome.
So that has been updated.
So UE 5.6 win. They always do this to us. They announce a new version right as we're almost done with the last one. Maybe eventually, but we're going to stick on 5.5 for a little while. Can we get more anti-crit items to allow for diversity in ways to deny crit, like how anti-heal works? Probably eventually. Yeah, I think that like we probably want to be a little bit more sparse with anti-crit than anti-heal, because healing is pretty widespread in the game, whereas crit is something that people generally opt into. Like very few gods have crit built into their base kit. So I think that we want to be a little bit more sparse with that, but yeah, I think there's two gods in Smite 1 that have anti-crit in their base kit, right? There's Hu Yi and Geb.
Yeah.
And then there's the one item, I think it's Smite 1. But I think that like we could potentially do a little bit more, but not. It's never going to be as widespread as anti-heal.
Are there plans to add older Smite 1 items into the game that aren't already? I would say, never say never. I know itemization specifically has been something that's big on the design team's radar. You saw it with the big item specialization pass that we did a few patches ago. And there's still lots of really cool items in Smite 1 that I think they would love to explore in, like, maybe not even bringing them over like one-to-one, but just like reinterpreting them for Smite 2 could be really cool.
Ones that I hear a lot, and this is not me saying that we're going to do it because, but I'm just like things that I hear a lot. I hear tablet a lot. I hear a lot of the like healing centric items. I hear Tainted Steel starter item. There are things that come up.
I've seen the masks a couple times.
We got to have mannequins back for when Sylvanas eventually comes, right?
Yeah.
No. I guess he can get just Bluestone in this world, but anyway. There's E-Staff,
hammers. We got a couple hammers.
There's a lot of things out there, but there's also a lot of new things in Smite 2 that aren't in Smite 1, right? Yeah. So like some of that design space maybe is already covered, and some of it is less needed. But I think there are some interesting things that we can do.
Items are kind of like gods, right? Like everyone has like their favorite subset of items that they really dig in Smite 1. So I'm sure the team will definitely look forward to potentially adding some Smite 1 classic items into Smite 2 at some point.
Yep. We have an Equinox Enjoyer. That's a rare one.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Definitely towards the later. There
were some creative ones.
Yeah. Really cool stuff. Duality is a good item from Smite 1.
Lots of specific items being called out now. Will PTS be open during the weekend? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah. Do I think having a clan feature will help new players? Potentially. I think we see that clans are much less valuable in 2025 than they were in 2012 or whatever when Smite 1 introduced them. Most people tend to kind of cultivate their friend groups outside of games, and it's more rare for like non-MMOs to have clan functionality. We do want to make sure that we're doing more to make it so that it's easier to play with people. One of the things that is not in this update, but maybe is in the next update, somebody was looking at it yesterday, is adding like invite to party to the 3-dot menu in the post-game leaderboard. So make it easier to invite people. Also, another thing that we were looking into, which I don't think is in this update, might be in the next one, is like notifications when your friends have logged on. So you're like, oh, hey, this person's on. Maybe I should reach out to them and see if they want to play or something. So I think there's like things like that that we will be doing sooner.
Have you all considered giving God Mastery skins ability recolors, sort of like what's done with prisms?
We had thought about it, but we decided to, generally speaking, like our North Star is what did Smite 1 do when it comes to things like this. And so for Smite 1, for the Mastery skins, the abilities stayed the same color, but your basic attack changed colors. Yeah. We decided to follow that for Smite 2 and do that exactly. Probably aren't going to go back and redo all of them at this point in time, and I think that they are all pretty good. I think it's an interesting idea, but I think probably not going to do it. Yeah. Is the number summing in this patch? It is.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't include that on patch notes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the directional damage indicator also is in this update. Have we ever considered having a test mode in the live client so that players could test out characters without going to PTS? We have talked about this, and we actually, I think the last time we tested kind of more far out characters on PTS, we had talked about doing that in live. But we feel like the kind of players who watch this show and would come to PTS to see in development characters are more equipped to judge something as being in development and not just as, even though it's in a test queue, people look at it like, why is this broken stuff in the game? They don't understand what makes this god good, like GG low res, like I think it's just, it's hard for a wide audience of players to appreciate and understand work in progress content, right? Like we got a lot of people complain, like this is another Paladin story. Paladins had a test maps queue that was just like blocked out potential future maps because they were really trying to figure out like what made a map work like and be fun to play on. So they were running a bunch of experiments of just like weirdly different layouts. And like the feedback on that queue was almost always universally horrible. And like, these are the worst maps we've ever played and yada, yada, yada. And then like, if we took one of those maps and arted it up and put it in game, people would be like, oh my God, this map's amazing. It's just the average player can't assess work in progress stuff because they aren't exposed to it in other games. So we generally try and reserve that for PTS when we're doing previews. If something is that level of rough. And if something was close enough to done, we would probably just ship it as done, can you turn off hit markers? I didn't see it in PTS. I believe that they should not actually be on
Correct,
for the full game for the release on Monday. They are work in progress, so they aren't actually going to look like that. That was just kind of the first version of the tech, and we need to make a new material to be able to actually represent them properly. And we need audio, and it was just probably shouldn't have been in PTS. Again, judging unfinished things. Once they are done, yes, there will be a way to disable hit markers if you don't like them.
Oh, here's a good question that I know the answer to. Any plans to make patch drops on Friday to bring in more players on the weekends when people don't work or in school?
The problem is that when
What
we
if
ship a
something
patch
goes
on
wrong?
Friday, then we have to work all weekend fixing it. And I think it is important that that people get weekends and time off with their families, or friends, or whatever they got going on in their life, right? It is incredibly easy when you're working on a live service game to do nothing but work on that live service game, because it is relentless. The pace at which you are trying to release new content, you don't ever really get to take a breath after shipping the last thing, because the next thing comes out in a couple weeks. And your players are very active and vocal and always want more, right? So I am drawing a hard line on we're not shipping anything big on Friday unless we absolutely have to, because I don't want to set up situations where we are more likely to encroach on our employees' personal time, because everybody deserves a break. Because if you don't, then you will just burn out and hate your life.
Non-serious question, but will we ever get a random skin button in God Select?
Yeah, we do want to get a random skin, and we also want to get an equip all button. This seems like a very easy thing. It's something we really want. I have so much other quality of life stuff that I think is more important to the game, especially for brand new players, that we're prioritizing a lot of other stuff right now. It's definitely on the list. I definitely agree that we need to get an equip all and we need to get a randomizer in, but it's just, can I prioritize it above some of these other things that I think will improve your core experience as a new player more so? I can't right now. And soon I would like to be able to prioritize those. Random God button. Yeah. I mean, sure. I think that's kind of in the same world. Have we tried displaying both the tick damage and the summed damage? I think both values are pretty important. I think that would end up being very messy and just having too many numbers on the screen. The summed number does kind of increment itself, so you can see it going up. And I think it kind of comes down to what do you like better? Do you like seeing the ticks? Do you like seeing the summed? If you had them both together, it'd be too much. Apex has that option available, but Apex, you deal much less damage at a time, right? Our problem is that I am attacking a wave of minions. I'm getting 6 times my thing. I'm dropping my AoE in a group. I'm getting multiple numbers per person because I'm also getting all my item effects. It just, the number of numbers that we have pop up is different from those games. So we think it's much better to be one or the other and not try to do both.
Seeing a couple people report Xbox crash issues. I'll follow up with you and the platform
we're
guys.
still looking at. There are some ongoing Xbox issues. What we have seen could be contributing to it is if you are suspending Smite 2 and leaving the game open for a long time, that it could be contributing to it. So I would say try quitting out of Smite 2 at the end of sessions and launching it again at the beginning of your next time you're playing, and see if that helps at all. If it doesn't, we're still looking at some other things, but that is one potential lead that we're investigating right now. Do we use 2D or 3D hitboxes? If 3D, why? Our characters are 3D, so we have to use 3D hit capsules to represent the characters and also to represent the things that we are shooting with. So we do have 3D. We have 3D capsules. I understand you saying, "Oh, but it's on a 2D plane," and it's just never been the way that we've handled it, and it doesn't. It wouldn't actually improve the situation because of how things are configured. Yep. This is a weird one for Kellen. In Smite 1, Bacchus had different taunts or jokes depending on his drunk meter.
Oh, man.
But this doesn't seem to be the case for Smite 2. Could we add this back in the future? I liked when he spoke gibberish. I did not know he did this.
Neither did
I. Can you send that to Kellen for
I'll
me?
send
Thank
it to
you.
him.
That's funny. Sometimes these like more niche things we just don't notice. We try and do as best as we can, but that's funny.
We need a hard reset. I know the team has been talking through the plans for ranked for the rest of the year. I know we just entered a new split a couple updates ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
And I know we're planning the rest of the splits for the year. I don't think a hard reset is planned anytime soon. I think we're going to continue to do soft resets for the next few splits for year 0. But as we get into year, the next year or whatever, the next hard cutoff, a hard reset is something we can look into.
Dude,
sure.
People are passionate about the Bacchus drunk jokes. That's kind of funny. Weekly quests. I want to add something that is like a very simple number of games played per week with like 3 different tiers of rewards. I think that would be good and would kind of replace first win of the day type bonuses where but not force you to play the same queue or play different queues that you don't want to play, right? So if you just want to play, I'm just going to throw out a number. I don't know what the number is. Like 20 games of Joust in a week, then you would get that weekly reward, right? So we are thinking about weekly rewards, but it would probably be something like that that's pretty simple to understand, that's more tied to just play a bunch of games, and there are thresholds of, if the number is 20, then at 7 games you get reward 1, at 14 games you get reward 2, at 20 games you get reward 3, kind of thing. I've seen this question several times today. Daily gambling system win. I don't know what this is. Probably not going to happen. I don't know exactly what you're asking for, but I see it in all caps several times. So I'm just going to say, don't know what you want. At one point in time, we did have a design for daily logins that was going to be more random. And basically, like every time you logged in, you would like effectively open a chest with different rewards, and you would get about the same amount of diamonds per week, but you would get other things and be a little bit more of a sense of surprise every day you logged in as to what you were going to get. But we decided that wasn't really worth doing. So we just went with our current system of you get diamonds every day and you get more diamonds at the end. Now chat's arguing if they want gambling or if they don't want gambling. Don't really have a lot of intentions of adding more gambling to Smite 2, I would say. I want API access. When? I feel like every time I talk about this, I'm like, I'm kind of close to a solution. I feel like I'm once again kind of close to a solution. And
we talked about this a few days ago.
Yeah, there's maybe a new way to where API access will be available once again, but we're working on it. We're getting there.
Could we get the Pantheon symbols as profile badges?
We could ask. Yeah, it seems okay. Are there any plans for a physical all-new god soon? 3/4 have been magical so far. I will say, when we were initially planning Bari, she was not going to be magical. So I think that kind of skewed it a little bit. But I think that, like, it ended up working out for her. So it was okay, but that just wasn't the initial plan. Yeah. I think that we are just willing to be a little more flexible about like, do we have to have an even split of physical or magical than we were in Smite 1, because the roles are so much less defined in Smite 2 than they were in Smite 1. But I think it's, it's good feedback.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is 2 p.m., so it's time for one more question. And we'll get ready for Open Beta 12 on Monday.
Yeah, a nice little weekend.
I know. I saw somebody asking for the Alani check. I believe we're both Cherry Twist.
Yeah, we're both rocking the Cherry Twist today.
It's good stuff.
I was saying, I think this is my first Alani all week because I've been on like a weird caffeination schedule. So,
let the chat fill up a little bit. See if we can get some good questions before we break for the weekend.
Do you have any weekend plans?
I'm just going to relax and sleep a lot. Yeah. I was moving last weekend, so now I'm just relaxing,
I am probably not going to sleep much because I have kids who don't let me, but I would like to. And I don't really have anything special planned.
I'll probably play some Magic the Gathering. Final Fantasy set is so sick. So.
Somebody says, how did your pre-release go? I didn't go.
It went really well. I did not perform well. The packs just weren't in my favor. Well, I think we're going to try and set up a draft or something this weekend and hopefully do a whole lot better.
Yeah. When do we get the Kilgoon Sports Hour? I could talk about sports for way more than an hour. Nobody at this office wants to talk sports with me. So if anybody wants to talk,
man, I've been watching the NBA Finals. Man, Pacers are looking good.
They are looking good. I don't know if you saw Pato Award, or not Pato Award, excuse me, Alex Palau, the guy who won the Indy 500, has kind of become like the Indiana Pacers like mascot, and he like pulled up to the last game in the Indy 500 pace car.
Oh, that's sick.
So it's been fun. Anyway, what about hockey? I am a cursed Sharks fan, so we just have not ever won anything. But good job. I think Oilers came back in overtime to win it last night, I think. Yeah, anyway.
I don't keep up with hockey, so.
Hockey's an amazing sport, but I played hockey growing up.
Oh, nice. Cool.
But I don't follow it as much because, like, once you move East Coast, it's hard to follow West Coast teams because the games are on so late.
Yeah.
And so most sports I've, like, readopted, like, the Atlanta teams is like my second team or whatever, but there's just not really a local hockey team right now for me to hop on the bandwagon of. So
I miss the Thrashers.
I haven't been following hockey as much since I moved to Atlanta. Anyway,
Chad is like, answer a question. Come on, stop.
Okay,
talking about
last thing. Am I a team or a driver follower in F1? I have been a Williams fan in F1 for a very long time. So. We're turning the corner. We're getting a little bit better. Albon's looking good. He's got a good first name as well. So that's what we got. Okay, actual Smite questions. Somebody's like, let's see. We got a science enjoyer. Yeah, a lot of good sports talk. I appreciate that.
Once we get more Pantheon backgrounds, would we consider letting players use them for main menu lobby backgrounds?
So probably not. We've talked about this internally, and we feel like we want the ability to change the home screen for different events going forward, where it's like, oh, hey, we're doing a beachy thing, and we're going to change the home screen background to be like, a sand beach, right? And if we let you control the home screen, then we wouldn't be able to like override that for events without it feeling bad.
Yeah.
So I understand why you would want to be able to do that, but I think that's probably not going to happen just because we want to be able to do that. And let's see, I got to pick one before I start talking about more sports things. A lot of F1 questions. This is just kind of a feedback note that I'll take, and it can be difficult from time to time to determine which team killed Gulf Fury and Fire Giant. Any way to make that more pronounced? I'll take a look at that and see if I think there's a good way for us to make that more obvious, because that is something that should be pretty obvious. So. Not really much of a question, but I will take it on advisement. Take a look.
Absolutely. Sweet. Well, I think that is a wrap for us today.
I want to talk about so many more of these
I
sports
know,
questions
right?
now.
Just pick one more sports one. It's Friday. Let's have fun.
There's a what about NASCAR? NASCAR's racing in Mexico City this week.
Oh, nice.
At the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, I believe. Should be a really fun race, and I'm curious to see what the Mexico race looks like.
Nice.
I will say I'm not as big of a NASCAR fan. I know who the drivers are. I generally follow it, but I have not actually watched a NASCAR race in 10 years probably. But I'm a big IndyCar and F1 guy.
Nice.
So, yes, that's the end of my motorsports shtick for today. Thank you for watching the SMITE show where I didn't talk about SMITE.
Oh, sweet. Well, Kilgoon, thanks so much for joining me on the show here on this Friday. Chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us and listening to us talk about sports, as well as some Smite 2 stuff. We've got Open Beta 12 that launches on Monday. Server maintenance should start around 7 a.m. Eastern Monday morning with about 2 hours of downtime. But we'll keep you updated on social media as soon as things are live and ready for you all to hop on and try out Ganesha, as well as all the other cool stuff in the next update. We'll be back next week for our show on Monday, probably a lighter show because it's patch day. But next Wednesday, we're probably talking about a couple of the upcoming gods coming to Smite 2.
Yeah,
which will be fun.
And I'm really looking forward to this OB13 preview. I think there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff in OB13. Like, OB12 is really exciting, but like the way our development calendar works, I'm already just like so focused on the next thing because this patch is kind of like buttoned up from our perspective at this point. It just needs to go out. So now I'm like, ooh, all these new things. I'm so excited.
Time to cook.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Sweet. Well, hope everyone has a great weekend and a great rest of the day. Until Monday, we will see you all on the battleground. Peace.